Hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk about anxiety and how does it affect us, affect our entire psychology and our working life, also private life. We have to understand that there's a wonderful place called amygdala in our brain. And amygdala is basically in charge of producing cortisol. Cortisol is a very good hormone, and we have got a lot of it in the morning hours from 5 to 8. That's why we feel very alert and excited in the morning hours, and we've got energy. Cortisol is also, or amygdala releases cortisol also in emergency situations. It's also a very important hormone so that we can survive an accident or a very, very heavy situation. If I heard fire right now, like not fire like this, but if I heard fire alarm right now, then I would basically run off. Amygdala would immediately shoot a lot of cortisol into my body, and my perception of time would basically stretch. I would only remember my steps, whatever I could just see on the way running out. However, anything else would be basically totally blended out. So if you ever survived an accident or an unpleasant situation, unexpected situation, you would remember that the entire time, although it was only maybe 1 minute or a couple seconds, would stretch. What happens is that amygdala, when is also triggered whenever we feel or we hear a negative comment from someone, whenever we feel offended, whenever we feel or when we take something personally. Our amygdala also thinks, okay, I'm in an emergency situation right now. This is an emergency because you feel threatened. And it starts shooting cortisol into your body. Cortisol is a wonderful hormone, makes us alert in the morning hours, and also makes us survive a bitter situation, just like a fire, for instance. However, when we overthink, when we think negatively, whenever we feel threatened in one way or the other, amygdala does its job, and cortisol is pushed into our body, and we feel tired. You know those days. Clients want a piece of you, children, husband, wife, whatever. Everybody wants a piece of you, and you just basically have the feeling you can barely breathe. And what happens is that on those days, you come home and you feel like somebody just hit you the whole day long. Why? Because your body produced lots of cortisol and you feel tired. Overdose of cortisol is the reason why we feel tired, why we can't sleep, why our body, after doing this for over years and months, starts collecting body fat around the waist. This is beer belly, I say all the time. However, when your body starts collecting fat around your waist and the sides, this is also a sign of overdose of cortisol. You should start thinking for yourself. You should start not taking things always personally. That means it's high time for you to start watching BrainyHeart episodes and basically start thinking about what is growth mindset really, and start exercising it. Why? I said growth mindset is the ability to take a look at the things from different perspectives. And if you don't do that, if you continuously think about your old think structures on those all the times, then your body, your amygdala, thinks you're under threat and shoots cortisol all the time. It's a wonderful example also when I laugh. I used to do that until I knew more about the brain. I used to yell at people when I drove cars. Right? So I was the best driver and everybody else on the street was not as good drivers as me. So I, innerly sometimes, like also people who were in the car with me heard commanding their driving style. After a certain time, after I started learning more about the brain, I said, am I crazy? Why am I just shooting unnecessarily cortisol in my body? He doesn't know what he's doing, and I think, why is that all cortisol shot unnecessary cortisol shot into your body, into my body, I thought at that time. So think about it. Don't take things very, very personally. When you watch your thoughts, and you should start watching your thoughts regularly. If you think about the same thing all the time, 10, 15, 20 minutes long, and you haven't found a solution yet, another solution, you're just keeping on thinking of the same thing, then call your best friend, distract yourself, call a client, go out, have a walk, direct your attention to elsewhere so that the cortisol shot, amygdala is triggered by then already, has to be stopped. And you can do this, nobody else can do that for you. So you have to watch your thoughts. Modern human being, 21st century modern human being, has to learn to watch the thoughts. Whenever your brain chatter is just going on, then you know your left hemisphere is stimulated, and cortisol, especially when it's making, negative remarks. Who are you to get this job? Who are you to do that, etc. It's just always commanding this football commentator, the brain chatter. And you listen to that, especially the negative ones, then your brain thinks, oh my God, I'm under pressure, or I'm under threat. So, and the hormonal reaction and the hormone, namely cortisol, pushed into your body at that moment, and be careful with that. How do I make it that, those kind of cortisol injection doesn't happen at the first place to me in that amount? Is that watching your thoughts. Basically, meditation, daily meditation, 1 or 2 minutes. What is meditation? Meditation is nothing else but basically neuroscientifically, idea of shutting down the brain chatter, right? So how do we shut down the brain chatter? How you do meditation, it doesn't matter. You can just sit down straight with the right body posture and concentrate yourself to your breath. How you slowly breathe in and out, a way of meditation. You just sit in there with the right posture, please. Then again, first watching your breath. Well, this helps. So you just, by watching your breath, you're calming the mind. You can only first calm the mind and then relax the mind. So breathing or paying attention to your breath is just going to calm your mind, and then you can let go. But you cannot do it vice versa. It's not possible. So number 1 is basically watching your thoughts, daily meditation. So you can do this when you're also sitting in a metro, driving car. You can do that. You can also do it during the working hours. So basically nobody bothers for 2 minutes. You're sitting down and doing nothing, and just realizing what's happening around you. The telephone ringing, your colleagues speaking, trying to realize everything, that somebody is just basically mixing up their coffee. So anything. This is also kind of meditation. So meditation is nothing else. It's not just sitting there with a certain posture and then humming, right? It is basically stopping your brain chatter. And how you do that brain chatter is your thing. Everybody should find their own ideas, right? Also these on the internet we just find these travel links that you just leave in a boat the whole city and leave everything behind you. These are also nice things, but they're still taking on the analytical imaginary left hemisphere, so it's just not really letting it go. The true meditation is basically letting go and accepting. And as mentioned in my small short videos before, our prefrontal cortex reacts to 3 things: concentrating ourselves to one thing, to here and now, to praying, and gratitude. These 3 things basically deactivates all the running apps in the background. And this is important for us to know, so we can instantaneously stop the cortisol push or injection into our body when we come to a certain posture, straight posture, and concentrate ourselves for 1 or 2 minutes to our breathing. Totally enough. In our next episode, Iris Schierhuber, the talent manager of Semperit in Austria, is my guest. Iris is a millennial herself. She's got a lot to say and she's got a wonderful story how she got into talent management. I look forward to the interview. If you're a young executive who would like to or who is to do an assessment talk in the next days, months, etc., please do contact me. I just had a wonderful situation over the weekend. That is why I just wanted to say this couple of words in front of the camera today. Namely, a young talent, 35 years old. I got to know him in Shanghai a couple years ago and I assisted him along the way. He is changing jobs at the moment. He was looking for a new challenge for a while right now, and he was invited from another company to an assessment talk. He came to me and he said, well, Evelyn, they're going to do an assessment with me. I've got stage fright. How do I deal with it? And how do we run such assessment talks? How an half-structured interview is basically run. And what happens in such interviews is actually what I've been doing over the years. So I happily help this young talent who is in the next round right now. Bearing this in mind, I said to myself, hey, why don't I help the young talents in this case? So that is why, keep it in mind. If you're looking for a new challenge, or if you're already invited for an assessment by another company, then please contact me so that we can just exchange a couple of words so that you can manage to go through this very assessment.